One final thing we need to do is how would you document bloodstains? Bloodstains are a little bit different in documentation in the sense that you are not going to collect all of the bloodstains from the scene, and the pattern in which they appear is pretty important to the analysis. So it remains at the crime scene. You have to sort of disrupt the crime scene to do the documenting. And so to get the most information on the bloodstain evidence, that's going to help us reconstruct the scene, an investigator needs to basically take all of the drops, document all the drops. So basically a photograph, maybe some notes about things that were observed as well. So a photograph of the entire bloodstain pattern. And there might be multiple bloodstain patterns in the crime scene. And then recording the location of the specific patterns. Again, now dimensions become very important because of the physics of reconstructing the bloodstain patterns. And then being able to distinguish, to sort of identify which ones a sample was taken to the laboratory. So you wouldn't submit all of the blood found on a crime scene to a laboratory. You're looking for ones that might be unique. So sometimes there might be blood where it maybe appeared to come from two people, and then you'd want samples from more than one. So which stain it came from. Again, from that pattern analysis, we might be able to determine that they came from two different people, and then we would want to know, okay, this was from the one person, this was from the other person. So being able to identify exactly which drop the samples were taken from is important. So there's basically two different ways that we document blood stain patterns. One is the grid method, the other is the perimeter ruler method. And it's preferential as to which one you like. So in a very large area, this is very common to use the grid method. So if it's spattered over a large area, a grid is made, is literally drawn onto the wall, onto the carpet, onto the whatever, and set up over the entire pattern. And they would be a specific dimension to the grid. So this particular picture is showing 2-foot grids. So it would make, 2-foot grid patterns both ways. And then each square is labeled somehow, maybe a letter, maybe a number, so that when you refer to something, you could refer to, like grid 3 would mean that top right one might be grid 3 was the predominant stain. So it's easier to identify the specific drops by what grid they're in. And this can be set up over the entire pattern. The other one is this perimeter ruler method, where essentially the ruler is put around the outside to give some specific dimension information. So it's almost like making a graph and having an x-axis and a y-axis. You'd have two different rulers to be able to say this was 7 inches from a certain point down and 8 inches over. So we could do that. And then needing to have a smaller ruler next to each stain to be able to, for close-ups, be able to identify how big it is, etc. So the picture in the book shows sort of these rulers here with another level here that was used to make the rulers. This, I think, is a little bit more similar, so that, these rulers are taped on the perimeter, and then you see these small-scale ones. This particular scientist is now doing some specific documenting on the wall. So it's a little bit destructive to the crime scene, so this would not happen immediately. This would happen sort of as the crime scene has already been documented and photographed, and it's time to do some processing on it.